So I've been trying to figure out what will be best for us in terms of my camera setup, and it's been quite challenging and quite stressful. So I've been trying different positions, and I think this is also not bad. So I'd like your honest reviews on the camera position to see if it's okay, and we can take up subsequent videos from there. Yeah, I'm only trying to see how best I can get the best quality out of my videos for you, so you can enjoy what I do and you can also feel comfortable watching what you see. So yeah, I was on the A9. I took a break because of my driving hours, and I got back on the A9. And usually when you're getting back on the A9, you have to either go faster or you slow down for the vehicle that is coming to go past you. So I tried to go a bit faster so I can outmatch the speed of the vehicle that was behind me and get on to the highway itself. So this is the AUTOBAHN 9, the A9, one of the less busy highways. And most importantly, when you're driving on the highways or anywhere else, to pay close attention to the vehicles ahead of you, the vehicles behind you, the vehicles to your sides, and every other obstacle to your side. So I look into the mirrors a lot of times, because you always have to pay very close attention. Before I overtake somebody, I always try to look at what the tires of the vehicle in front of me is doing. So the trail marks of the tires is what I try to look out for. Sometimes you notice maybe a truck is in front of you. The truck is going a little closer to the line, veering off its normal trail and going a little closer to the line. In that instance, when you want to overtake, it could be the driver is not paying attention or the driver is multitasking in that moment. And so if you want to overtake, you have to signal and draw the driver's attention to the fact that you as a larger vehicle wants to go by him also, or by her also. So that way he doesn't cross over into your lane and end up destroying something on your vehicle. Very often than not, you have the mirrors of the bus, just like you can see, a bit in the outer portion of the body. So they are not really aligned directly to the size of the body. And so you have the dimensions of the bus, because of the mirrors, being 2.55, not 2.50, 2.55, because of the extension of the mirrors, a little extension outside the main frame of the bus's bodywork. So you always have to pay close attention. What that means is when you're within the 2.5 lane that you have, which is normally 2.5, the dimensions of the road, 2.50, you normally have the mirror going a little outside the 2.5. And so you always have to be extra cautious, extra careful when you want to overtake trucks. And so my reason for always paying very keen and close attention to the movement of the truck in front of me before you overtake. Sometimes I have to observe the truck for about 2 to 3 minutes just to see how the truck keeps its movement. If it's windy, I take the extra time to observe. If it's not, I take the extra time to observe. So you always have to pay close attention. You always have to be very attentive, and you always have to be looking around almost every now and then. And that is one of the things I learned from my driving school, which I would salute them for. They really, really did a good job in my training. So one of the driving schools I would want to even talk about is Fahrschule in Sachsen-Anhalt. They are in Wittenberg, precisely. They are one of the best driving schools you can have for your bus and truck driving education. Very excellent in their teaching capabilities, very patient with the way they handle students, and they are so experienced with what they do. Regardless of who you are, regardless of where you come from, they welcome you into their class and they build a bond, not just in the school but after school also. They try to check up on you, how you're doing once in a while, to see if you're coping, to see if you need any extra help even after you're done with the education and you've landed the job. So I recommend that anyone within these regions, within Sachsen-Anhalt, who wants to pursue his education in a bus or truck driving, and not just that alone, they do all classes, so from motor to class B, which involves the smaller vehicles, to BE with the trailer, to C, CE, C1E, D, DE, D1E, just go to Fahrschule Köln. They are one of the best I can ever recommend to you. Yes, so I learned a lot from them. And shout out to Mr. Thomas Köln and Mr. Alexander Köln. You can't be better than them in what they do as driver instructors. So shout out to them. Yeah, I learned a lot from them, and one of the things that has always impacted the way I drive is attentiveness. You always have to be attentive, you always have to observe, and one of the best things I learned from them is the rule of the 3 seconds. Every 3 seconds you have to at least look left, right in the mirrors. Every 3 seconds you have to look left, right in the mirrors. You always have to keep an eye on your surroundings because it is very, very important. If you look into my videos, you can tell I mostly do that a lot in most of my videos, and precisely with my videos where I have my GoPro camera situated directly on my cup, you notice I'm turning my head a lot. It's just because I just try to observe my surroundings around me a lot. Before I overtake, I do that. Even when I'm not overtaking, I do it because I always want to try and fit within the lines, the given dimensions for which you're supposed to drive in. So just like this, the other road user wants to join the road. See, he accelerated faster than I was accelerating. I was doing 100 kilometers per hour and he accelerated faster than that. The first thing I did was to look into the mirror to see if the lane was free, and once the other vehicle had just gone past me, I indicated moving into the middle lane. I gave him a light horn so he could know I am moving, and then he joined. It's just about communication. It's supposed to be that simple and easy. We are just supposed to watch out for one another on the road. You are not perfect on the road. You don't see what somebody is seeing. Especially from my sitting point of view, I see way better than all the others road users who are driving their private vehicles, the small private vehicles. Likewise, a truck driver sees far and better than in my position where I sit as a bus driver, because he sees things from a higher perspective. And so my honest advice, my honest recommendation to we as road users is, let's try and communicate as much as possible on the road. It is a medium of communication, driving. If you don't communicate with one another, it becomes very, very difficult to be on the road. and it's always a pain in the flesh. The next thing to take notice of as a driver when you're driving large vehicles like the buses or the trucks is for you to always know your safety distance and try to keep them. In German we call them the Abstand. Know your safety distance between you and then the vehicle ahead of you, and between you and the vehicle behind you. And one thing I've noticed is most of the time vehicles that tend to overtake in the other lane, like the other road user is doing now, tend to stay with you in the middle side. So for instance, you're doing 100 kilometers per hour. If he is moving to the middle lane to overtake, he has to go faster than you, at least 120. So he's 20 kilometers per hour faster than you. But mostly what they do is when they get to your side, they stay there and they try to match up with the speed you're going, which is the wrongest thing to do. Because one, there are a lot of blind spots on the side of the bus that you as a driver in the cockpit find it very difficult to see everything around you, especially from where you're sitting, the front portion, all the way to your middle. It's so difficult to see. So if somebody is there and the person is not moving and you try to overtake, it brings a lot of problems, especially when you think, oh, the area is free, which mostly happens because sometimes you see a vehicle in your distance in the mirror coming from afar, and the person gets closer to you and you think, oh, probably he's gone or he switched lanes to the other side, because you can't really see so wide a radius when you're in the cockpit. And you try to overtake only for your sensors to warn you there's somebody directly next to you. Or you try to overtake, and most of the time I try to go out of my comfort zone a bit, look into the small mirror, or I try to pull my head out to see if there's somebody next to me. Then you notice there's somebody there, and so you can't overtake. It is very, very painful a thing to do.
So we're here again on the road today. I've been on the road roughly the whole morning. I went towards the A24, precisely Moirupin, somewhere around the A24 on the way to Hamburg. So you make use of the A10, first A9 like I'm on now. So this is the A9, then you do the A10 and you do the A24 in about 10, 12 kilometers down. You take the exit Neuropin, and I'm making the return trip back. The A9 is one of the less busy autobahns, or the less busy highways we have in Germany. But sometimes it gets a bit busy, but not as busier as the A2 outside or the A14, which can get pretty much also very busy, or the A4, the Dresden stretch, which goes down to Holland. So here people like to try their cars out, especially the BMWs, the Teslas, the Mercedes, and the Audis. They like to try their cars out here because this is one of the free autobahns you can have with not so much traffic. There was an accident somewhere last weekend on this stretch, not so far away from here, about 15, 16 kilometers from here. A very, very fatal accident where two trucks collided with each other, and it was so bad. The highway was closed for 3 days. Yeah, but eventually the fire service or the fire department did a very good job. They made sure they cleaned it up so well, and sure they try to sort out everything so they could open it back again to us road users. So yeah, this is mostly my stretch. I'm mostly here. This is the same stretch that moves from Leipzig to Berlin, from Munich to Berlin. Yeah, and we're on this stretch. The same stretch that crosses down directly to Austria, directly to Switzerland. This is the stretch. Go straight down and it takes you straight down to Munich. From Munich you can decide whether to use the Austrian stretch or to go straight across the border into Switzerland, however you want to go. And behind us you're going towards Berlin, continuing straight to Poland. Continue straight to Poland, or you're going towards Hamburg. Yeah. So the road, you always have to be very attentive, just like you saw in the instance. When I see a car approaching from the exits, the rule is when you're getting the exits, they shouldn't do anything less than 60 kilometers per hour, and they should try to accelerate. But on the same time as they are accelerating, we who are here on the main highway itself have the right of way. And so it's either we waive our right of way for them, or they try very hard to accelerate faster than we are doing so they can join. And so anytime I see someone coming, the first thing I do is to look here to see if there's somebody immediately in the second lane. If there's nobody in the middle exit, I just exit into the middle exit. Give the incoming driver a light or an indication I'm going to the next exit so he or she can join. Being on the road is always about communication. It is always about communication, and this is my problem I have with a lot of drivers. It is just like you being on the phone with anybody. It is just like you meeting with somebody in person and having a reasonable conversation. This is what driving is all about. It is all about communication. That is why you have your indicators, your blinkers. That is why you have your lights. That is why you have your horn, all the signals. That is why you have all of these things. It's just about communication. And that is why you have all the various road signs there to also tell us what to do next, what not to do. In the event of chaos, here in Germany, we have what we call the right before left rule. And so if I'm at the junction and it's more of a 4 junction and we are there, there's no traffic light, there is chaos, the one to my right should always go first, and we should communicate that. So if all 4 junctions are occupied with vehicles, what we have to do is somebody has to wave the right of way first. And so me, I mostly like to wave it. I initiate the right of way. I'll just give way for whoever to go. It saves you a lot of time. It saves you a lot of stress than to eventually rush and then you have your vehicle damaged. Then now you have to follow the protocols, call the police, wait for the police to come. They have to do the marking, whose fault it is, and then they even end up paying a fine for damaging or for even causing the accident. So just exercise patience. That 1 minute, 2 minutes you're going to exercise, it doesn't change anything. It even saves you from an unforeseen accident that you may have driven into. So I like to be patient enough and always try to waive my right of way. If I have to stop for pedestrians to cross, I do that, regardless whether there's a pedestrian crossing or not. Most importantly is look into the mirrors first to see who is behind you, the speed with which he or she is coming with. Then you can quickly be informed and make the decision whether you want to stop or not. So you always have to be on the alert. Always look into the mirrors occasionally. Always look into the mirrors. Always look around you, because with a bus and with trucks, you are larger than just the normal, right? And so you always have to be looking. Always have to be looking. And for your blind spots, which are from where I'm sitting now, from the door directly to the front where I can see when I'm here in the seat. I make use of the small mirrors up there. So by the bigger mirrors, you can see some smaller ones up there. Those ones give you a coverage from the driver's side, this way, all the way down to the side. It gives you that coverage. And then the smaller one there also gives you a coverage from the door all the way to the middle here. And it's the same adjustment for the trucks also. So in the event where you have to make a turn, because you, the driver, you're seated in front of the tire, the front tire. In the event where you have to make a turn, you're not going to see your front tire because of the mirror. It's where we call the blind spot. And so you make use of the top ones, the top small ones, and you can see what is directly in front of you. Likewise, if you want to take off and then there is an obstacle in front of you, yeah, my vehicle has sensors which can detect all of those things, but you can't rely on technology. It's not 100% surety. And when it rains so badly, or it even snows a little, the snow blocks, it blocks the whole front shield, or the front part of the vehicle. And the sensors get blocked. So you have a signal here, the sensors are blocked. So then you have to now rely on your intuition, on your experience, and on your training to drive. And so, yes, in as much as I love the technology in the buses, I always try to rely on my intuition, rely on my experience, and rely on my training. And it's one of the things I would recommend for you as a bus driver or as a truck driver. We learn on the job day in, day out. It's part of the job. We learn day in, day out. So if you meet a situation which was a bit challenging for you, don't just take it as a challenging situation. You learn from it, and then you apply it in the subsequent situations you find yourself. That makes you a good driver. And I always say, there is nothing like a perfect driver. There is nothing like that. We keep practicing. Even Formula 1 drivers, MotoGP drivers, keep practicing every now and then. Practice makes perfect. But with driving, you don't become perfect. You just become good with time, and you're able to recognize patterns of mistakes, or patterns of incidences that can lead to the same mistakes, and you avoid them. This is all you have to do to become a good driver. Yeah. So here it's a cool stretch, very, very cool. The only problem is at night you have a lot of DS on the stretch, and so when you're driving at night you have to be very, very careful. Very, very careful. But aside that, it's the shortest way to my destination. And so I make use of it from the A9 if I'm coming from Berlin and I get to this point. Yeah, the shortest way, like I said. So yes, this is driving. This is driving. And I'll try and bring you more videos where I can actually give you tips on bus driving for those of us who want to go into bus driving as an occupation like I'm doing. Yeah. It is a very nice job, a very well paid job, a very respectable job. And you get to meet people, you get to travel around places. Well, when I was back home in Ghana, I used to work partially as a tour guide. So I was always moving from place to place. In fact, it's something I love to do. To meet new people, to have interactions with people, to explore places. It is something that gives me so much joy to do. And so when I had to decide between doing a truck here in Europe or doing a bus, I just weighed my options and I'm like, okay, you know what, at least you get to meet different people day in, day out. At least you get to have different exposures with different cultures. At least you get to travel around different places, tourist destinations, and that's the most important thing as a bus driver. If you want to enjoy your job, then you have to go in for a job as a bus driver who is mostly away. So, or better still, as a tourist bus driver. Then you can have a lot of exposures around. You can travel around Germany, in and around Germany. You can travel across Europe, spend beautiful days in beautiful places. And the advantage is when we travel out, we sleep in hotels also, which is also rated from 3 to 5 star. Based on the hotel your group is going to, that is the same hotel you're also going to get a booking for, because you don't have to be so far away from the group. Because in some cities, for instance in France, if you travel to a city like Paris in France, it's so crazy with the traffic situation that if you're far away from your group, you'd miss out on your planned schedule. Even when you are with a group together, you still miss out on your planned schedule sometimes because of the traffic situations. You need a minimum of 30 minutes for sometimes 2 kilometers, sometimes 3 kilometers, sometimes 5 kilometers. It depends on the traffic situation. So if you're lucky enough and it's on a weekend on Sunday, then hooray. And even with that, just for 2 or 3 kilometer stretch, you'd spend no less than 30 minutes. So this is France. So imagine on a weekday where the rush hour, everybody's coming into Paris to work and later travel back home. Just imagine the traffic situation. Yeah, so we get to sleep in the same hotel that the group or my passengers are sleeping. Get to have different menus to choose from. And it's always a nice feeling. It's always a nice feeling when there's a show. You get to get tickets also to participate as well for the show. And all in all, I'll say being a bus driver in Europe is really, really fun. It's really, really fun. I want to say it's also fun everywhere, not just Europe alone. The job as a bus driver is a lot of fun. So I'll leave you here, then probably catch up with one another. So that here is the driver card, one of the most important documents. The driver card, that here. Without this, you can't drive the bus. You can't drive the bus. That's very important. So this is where my bus parks, stays here, and as of when I have my next trip, I just move it from here, and we start our trip.